Hey guys, this is Kerry Martell here for the Yamhill Advocate. I did a reading of the first part of the Twitter files, as Elon Musk and the folks over at Twitter are calling it. It seems that Twitter's been working with some investigative journalists to go through the email internal communication system of Twitter to find out what they have actually been doing and lying to the public about. The first part I already showed. That they were working with members of the Democratic Party to censor Twitter users' channels who were saying things they didn't want out there, such as the Hunter Biden laptop story. This second part goes more into detail about how Twitter employees were censoring people, including politicians and other even news media, on a regular basis. So this is called Twitter's Secret Blacklists. New Twitter files investigation. Oh, I should also mention that the reporter this time is Barry Weiss, who is putting out the results of what I assume is her investigation. So, a new Twitter files investigation reveals that teams of Twitter employees build blacklists, prevent disfavored tweets from trending, and actively limit the visibility of entire accounts or even trending topics, all in secret without informing users. Can you guys imagine this? Like Twitter and to many extent other communication platforms like Facebook Messenger, Facebook in general, okay, Google's Gmail, okay, YouTube. These have become our primary ways that people communicate with each other now. Right? It's basically like if the telephone company has created secret blacklists to prevent people from being able to call each other and share information, or if like the post office, was taking your newspapers out of the mail and throwing them in the trash. This is essentially the same thing that these companies who have taken over our communications are doing to users. So let's continue on here. Twitter once had a mission to give everyone the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. Along the way, barriers nevertheless were erected. Take, for example, Stanford's Dr. J. I'm sorry, I'm going to probably butcher his last name, Bhattacharya, who argued that COVID lockdowns would harm children. Twitter secretly placed him on a trends blacklist, which prevented his tweets from trending. Or consider the popular right-wing talk show host Dan Bongino, who at one point was slapped with a search blacklist. So search blacklist, for those who are not familiar with the term, means that if you searched for him, you wouldn't be able to find his account. Twitter sat the account of conservative activist Charlie Kirk to do not amplify. Do not amplify would mean that they have made it so that his tweets are probably not appearing within the trends feed. Twitter denied that it does such things. In 2018, Twitter's Vijaya Gade, I should say, then head of legal policy and trust, and Kavion Brickpour, head of product, said, "We do not shadow ban." They added, "And we certainly don't shadow ban based on political viewpoints or ideology." That was a lie. What many people call shadow banning, Twitter executives and employees call visibility filtering, or VF. Multiple high-level sources confirmed its meaning. So basically, they claim they don't shadow ban people because what they do is visibility filtering. Okay, they just they just created a new term for the same activity, is what they did. And then tried to say that, oh, we're not doing this because we call it something different. This is a common tactic you see with these extremist social activists on the left, right? They say, oh, no, we didn't do this because we created a new word for this activity we're being accused of doing, so therefore we're not doing it. But that's just a semantical argument, okay? That's a narrative construction. Continuing on. Think about visibility filtering as being a way for us to suppress what people see to different levels. It's a very powerful tool, one senior Twitter employee told us. VF refers to Twitter's control over user visibility. It used VF to block searches of indivisible users, to limit the scope of a particular tweet's discoverability, to block select users' posts from ever appearing on the trending page, and from inclusion in hashtag searches, all without users' knowledge. We control visibility quite a bit, and we control the amplification of your content quite a bit. And normal people do not know how much we do. One Twitter engineer told us. 2 additional Twitter employees confirmed. The group that decided whether to limit the reach of certain users was the Strategic Response Team, Global Escalation Team, or SRT-GET. It often handled up to 200 cases a day. But there existed a level beyond official ticketing, beyond the rank and file moderators following the company's policy on paper. That is the Site Integrity Policy, Policy Escalation Support, known as SIP-PES. This secret group included Head of Legal Policy and Trust, Vijay, and Global Head of Trust and Safety, Yoel Roth, subsequent CEOs Jack Dorsey and Perrine Ingrell, and others. This is where the biggest, most politically sensitive decisions got made. Think high follower count, controversial, and another Twitter employee told us, for these there would be no ticket or anything. One of the accounts that rose to this level of scrutiny was Libs of TikTok, an account that was on the Trends Blacklist and was designated as do not take action on user without consulting with SIP-PES. The account, which Shaya Raichik, I think is how you pronounce her last name, began in November 2020 and now boasts over 1.4 million followers, was subjected to 6 suspensions in 2022 alone. Raichik says each time Raichik was blocked from posting for as long as a week. Twitter repeatedly informed Raichik that she had been suspended for violating Twitter's policy against hateful content, but in an internal SIP-PES memo from October 2022, after her 7th suspension, the committee acknowledged that Libs of TikTok has not directly engaged in behavior violative of the hateful conduct policy. The committee justified her suspensions internally by claiming her posts encouraged online harassment of hospitals and medical providers by insinuating that gender-affirming healthcare is equivalent to child abuse or grooming. Compare this to what happened when Raichik herself was doxxed on November 21st, 2022. A photo of her home with her address was posted in a tweet that had garnered more than 10,000 likes. When Raichik told Twitter that her address had been disseminated, she says Twitter support responded with this message. We reviewed the reported content and didn't find it to be in violation of the Twitter rules. No action was taken. The doxing tweet is still up. That is definitely in violation of Twitter rules. In internal Slack messages, Twitter employees spoke of using technicalities to restrict the visibility of tweets and subjects. Here's Yoel Roth, Twitter's then global head of trust and safety, in a direct message to a colleague in early 2021. So let's take a look at this. He says, a lot of times SI has used technicality spam enforcements as a way to solve a problem created by safety under enforcing their policies, which again isn't a problem per se, but it keeps us from addressing the root cause of the issue, which is that our safety policies need some attention. 6 days later, in a direct message with an employee on the Health, Misinformation, Privacy, and Identity Research Team, Roth requested more research to support expanding non-removal policy interventions like disabling engagements and de-amplification visibility filtering. So he says, one of the biggest areas I'd love research support on is regarding non-removal policy interventions like disabling engagements and de-amplification visibility filtering. The hypothesis underlying much of what we've implemented is that if exposure to misinformation directly causes harm, we should use remediations that reduce exposure and limit the spread/virality of content in a good way to do that by just reducing prevalence overall. we got Jack on board, Jack in reference to Jack Dorsey, on board with implementing this for civic integrity in near term, but we're going to need to make more robust case to get this into our repertoire of policy remediations, especially for other policy domains. So I'd love research's point of view on that. Continuing on, Roth wrote, the hypothesis underlying much of what we've implemented is that if exposure to, that is, misinformation directly causes harm, we should use remediations that reduce exposure, and limiting the spread/virality of content is a good way to do that. This is just, we're going over what I already read here again. There is more to come on this story, which was reported by Abigail Shire and Shellen Berged and Nellie Boyles, Isaac Grafstein, and the team, the Free Press. A little bit hard to read their full names in those hashtags here, but keep on with the unfolding story here and at our brand newer website. Continuing on, the authors have broad and expanding access to Twitter's files. The only condition we agreed to was the material would first be published on Twitter. We're just getting started on our reporting. Documents cannot tell the whole story here. A big thank you to everyone who has spoken to us so far. If you are a current or former Twitter employee, we'd love to hear from you. You know, it's just amazing, amazing stuff, guys. Now, there's a third part of this. There's a third part, and I'm going to cover it in a second video so I can keep this one focused just on the blacklists. But, like, this shows exactly what everybody accused Twitter of doing is exactly what they were doing the whole time. And if you think this stuff doesn't impact elections, you're mistaken. A lot of people rely upon platforms such as Twitter to receive their news information, and the censoring, the blacklisting, the harassment of journalists, which I would regard Libs of TikTok as being, okay, because she's shining a spotlight on things that that very extremist liberal social activists are doing, showing what they are saying and what they're doing, and taking actual actions that have meaningful impact on other people's lives. In many cases, thousands, sometimes millions of people's lives, trying to censor that information from other people. That impacts elections. Definitely does. So, I'll see you guys in the next installment of this. Thank you.